not sure if 5 or 7, but
Yeah, I can't remember what it is. I think it was 385.
but
I think it's a 387.
yeah, I think
387 SXSO.
sexual social. Yeah.
Or there's a 387, not whatever I said. I think it's a 387.
Right. Yeah, because like I think I probably sometimes I'm not sure like which one's second for me. Like I can't quite tell sometimes if it's 6 or 4. But I feel like both of those are kind of strong, but I think core 9 makes more sense for me. So it's like I think even if you feel like at a certain given time, I can be like, oh, I'm not really feeling like a 9 right now. I'm feeling a lot more afraid about something, so I feel more like a 6. Or, well, I'm really involved in my own internal world, and I'm, developing artistic stuff. I really feel more like a 4, but I'm still a core 9. Like it's outside of situational developments. It's because they're sort of difficult to figure out, Tay. A lot of people got stuff written about instinctual type, but I think it's probably one of the ones that people misunderstand the most.
Yeah, I don't fully understand it. I
It's
think it's hard too because, like, even with Enneagram in general, isn't one of the basic concepts that we all possess all of them to varying degrees anyway? So it's kind of, so shouldn't we all kind of relate to pieces and aspects of
well, I think
all of it?
there's I think there's a difference between something resonating
Mm-hmm.
and it resonating enough to be like a sort of like habit of character.
Yeah.
Because you might be like, oh, I punched that guy. Am I an 8 now? It's like,
We're male turkeys. Don't worry, I'm not going to fight it.
well, it's a lot of, because it's not a physical fight and it's like just verbal exchange, it's like just a lot of like gobble gobble.
Yeah, I was gonna say that because it's not a physical fight, it just goes on forever.
Right, because they can just keep coming back and being like, no, you're wrong. And it's like,
That's why I try not to get into them because bullshit, because it's not physical. It is never ending. And you need to be able to make someone tap out.
how's it going, Jewel?
Good. I just keep looking at the time. I have work tomorrow morning. I don't. I should be in bed already. I'm sure.
Fuck work, party till you're homeless.
I wish I could run on no sleep like you guys do.
It's called pure NE. There needs to be a drug called NE. It basically just be really awesome speed. Really awesome speed that you smoke, like through a cigarette.
Not through pizza.
Nah. Be through a cigarette. And it'd be
It smells like pizza.
You only need a little bit of that shit. Or it'll turn you into Charlie Sheen. Ricardo.
Yeah, Jewel, one thing I was gonna say is not sure exactly for core type, but it's possible you could have a sexual preference. Seems like there's seems like a lot of people I run into. I don't know if they're mistyping themselves or if there's just not that many people with social preferences.
Yeah.
But it seems like there's a lot of people that have like some form of self-preservation, sexual or sexual self-preservation.
Probably
Yeah.
social preferences aren't going to be hanging out on the internet.
Can I say one thing?
No.
Yes. So
Is it going to be stupid?
Taylor, no, maybe.
You're gonna say one thing, but the one thing you're gonna say is gonna be like dynamite, and then I'm not gonna talk again for half an hour.
Yeah.
Next time that you say something that's different from a normative expectation of somebody, any unique characteristic you have, I'm going to use your exact argument and apply it to that, because it's a argument. It's one of those arguments that can be applied to anything. A lot of people want to be special or like to think that they're different or something, and they want to shift reality to suit what they want. Therefore, that's probably
So
weird.
you're
I'm
on
gonna use
every number 4 now.
I'm going to use that against you. And
Okay.
you know why? This is the important part. Because I think you would have such a problem with that argument that you would create a better counter argument than I can. So I'm going to wait to hear your counter argument and then use that as a counter argument against you.
How about this counter argument? What do you think is more likely? That you were trying to find a crack in the model when and where you wanted it, or that you actually found a crack in the model?
What if it's neither? What if
What if it's
that
neither?
seems to be the
It's
case?
possible.
That
That
seems
is
to be the case.
possible. See, that's the stupid fucking thing, is that nothing's impossible. You can't win because nothing's impossible. That doesn't make it winning. I'm talking about percentages. What's the likelihood? You saying you can't prove that I'm fucking wrong doesn't make you right.
Did I say that? I don't know that I tried to get into the actual legitimacy of what I said and then say I'm wrong if I need to, but you won't go there.
How legitimate do you think it is?
I don't know. I'd like your input on it because
I think
I don't-
that it's
I don't-
just as legitimate as we give you credit for.
Angel.
will you stop? Bye, Jewel.
Hey.
That sucks. Really. Listen,
I'm
here's
listening.
my question. Is it, what is a tritype?
It's the item from each center that describes you.
And how is it chosen as far as order goes?
Strongest to weakest.
Okay. Now, do you think that so you're gonna use one over the other in certain circumstances? Then is what it sounds.
It sounds chronological more like to me. You're going to use one, and then if that one's not appropriate, you'll use the other.
But
I don't know if I'm right about that.
you're gonna use one though, right? One at a time, and then you'll go the other one. Well, and they're different. One's heart, gut, and head. It was seeming to me like people are going to use different functions based on context. And all I'm saying is I can think of just as many times that I've been an 8 as I've been a 3. That's it.
Because instances are more pronounced. They stand out more. You're going to remember them better.
Well, I think that you all remember it better. I
No.
thought a lot in here.
All right. Nick, you are clearly the most persistent person that I've ever fucking met. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you about something that ultimately cannot be resolved if you're determined to ignore odds and go on possibilities.
I'm not ignoring the odds. I don't think you can calculate the odds because it's not a clear and concrete enough model to be able to interpret such things.
I
It's
can't
all
prove
based on
fucking
perception.
odds. I can't prove it. That's just what I fucking said.
Right.
However, so
Do
I'm
you think
arguing
your point is any more valid than mine?
probabilities, and yes, I am fucking more valid, and you're arguing well, it's not impossible. I'm not going to have a conversation with
Hell
you
no.
where I'm go up against.
Hell
It's
fucking
not
no.
impossible.
Hell
I'm
fucking
done with this dumb dick
Hell
shit.
fucking no. No. Fuck no. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying odds are it's just as likely that you can be you can be closely both as you can't be. If you can be one Enneagram core type, and if you use your number of your tri-type, depending on the situations, then, which I believe to be true, we can have a whole different conversation on that if you want. And personally, I based on how I understand other people perceive me, which of course can be wrong, and based on how I perceive myself, which extra of course can be wrong, based on the test, which of course can be wrong, based on switching back and forth on it a long time. When I first took the Enneagram like a year ago, it was an 8.
For someone to be split, then it has to redefine the whole fucking model, which says that you use one first. So you're going to reshake up the whole fucking thing so that you can land on a spectrum measurement right at the 50-yard line.
The model. It's not going to fuck with the model because it's stupid to think that somebody's going to consistently be the first all the time. It is not unreasonable to think that.
Nick,
So when
it's
I
stupid
date-
that
when
you're
I
not
date-
researching the whole fucking
when
model.
I'm dating- when
The
I-
model says this. There are 3 things that you use. You use them in an order of preferences. Those things can be measured on a spectrum. So you're saying it's more likely that you're so even on 2 of them.
No, all you said, everything you just said, use them in order of preference. I prefer to do different things in different situations. Taylor,
No shit, everybody does.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what makes you a person.
I have a social life and I have a work life. Both are
I-
very level.
You're not a fucking crustacean. I understand that.
Okay. Well, based on what you said, if it is a preference, and if it is true that people find themselves in different environments and situations, then it can also be true that if you have 2 different distinct environments in your life, that you can be one in the other and another in the other. Is that not true? And if you say that it's possibilities rather than odds, that's fucking insane. Because you would not disagree.
You either are arguing just to win, and you're more persistent than I am, which I've already bowed out of that one, or you believe yourself, in which I don't know why the fuck I'm arguing with you. So I'm done arguing with you. Because either way, I'm fucked in that situation.
It's honestly, it's that my logic is sound and I'm open to being wrong, except I don't like your persistence without any actual talking about the things that I've stated. I don't like that you're not addressing my points.
Because I think the things that you're stating are stupid. I think it shows that you either don't understand them or you don't want to understand them. Either way, the minute you said that I'm a hypocrite because you don't understand them or don't want to understand them, I'm done fucking playing with Nick.
That's what it was. I said hypocrite.
That's what it was. I told you right up front. That's what pissed me the fuck off.
And right when I said it, I tried to retract it. You kept talking over me. I wanted to say, in this particular situation, we would both agree that you're being a hypocrite because you did what you say that you hate that I do.
No, Nick.
Which by definition,
No, you dumb
you
fuck.
changed. And afterwards, you changed the framing. You changed it afterwards.
Nick, this is why I'm done arguing with you. You're more persistent, so you can win. Okay, you win. There you go. So that was it. Or you don't fucking understand, which I also can't do when you're trying to convince me of something.
I don't think you believe either.
Which I don't give a fuck to do when you're insulting me.
I'm not trying to insult you.
Then shut your fucking mouth.
No,
Because you're doing a bad
I'm
job
also,
of not insulting me.
I'm also not going to. I'm also not going to just concede the illogical statements you've said with such.
You're right. You are such an 8.
To be clear, this started with an insult on your side. I followed with an insult, and then you got butthurt on my insult, and then you were saying that I was totally going in possibilities land and not looking at odds, and you called it mathematical, which then I tried to apply some numbers to it with the odds that you said, and then you just went a different way.
I'll slow it down. We can use corresponding systems and models of thinking that people employ as a reference point to get numbers to try to use math in situations like this.
And that's what I was trying to do.
Always identify with just about everything that's suggested to them. That's why I mentioned horoscopes.
I do that?
Psychics. No, I used it as a reference point. The only reason that psychics are a thing is because people are suggestible. Your brother said something that he heard in a podcast. You're suggestible.
Well, if you use if you use that kind of blanket statement, I don't like that you did that.
Okay, I know that you didn't.
It's not. It's
imprecise. It is very inaccurate. It is not precise at all. However, it does hold the water of odds.
So does a lot of things that we don't value.
I know. I only value this so much. I'm not saying that this is the end all be all. I'm saying that we have odds and they're stacked against you, especially if you consider type preference in Enneagram as a spectrum, which maybe that's just me, but I think that you have varying degrees of prefer this over this.
It's
maybe
not a
you
preference.
Together.
Okay, we can use that word.
Okay, that's the word I'm using. You understand?
Can I explain how I reached my conclusion?
Okay.
I got pissed off with not being able to settle on one. I don't like that at all. In fact, this podcast today, listening to it, is like, fuck, that is a lot like me. And I sent my brother the screenshot. I'll screen you the screenshot of me sending my brother the test that said both are equal, but you're a core type 8, which is like, but why? It's the same ranking as the 3. I don't feel like I'm an 8. I want to be a 3. That was my preference. And then I was like, well, this is what I don't like about the shit. There's too much wiggle room, and people are too dynamic, and life is too fucking all over the place to be able to say something with certainty. And then I wrote this quote down. All models are wrong, but some are useful. There is no way you believe that thing carries as much weight as yours. It's not mathematical. But if you make it mathematical, you can say, I like your language you used. It is the way we prefer to make decisions and do things in order. Now, I prefer to do things different at work than in my social life. To me, they both have a strong presence in my life. At work, I'm actually an 8. In my social life, I'm a 3 that reflects the eightness that I did at work.
In work, you're still 3, which is why your 8 kicks in, because it's how you need to work.
I'm the most aggressive fucking salesman ever. I'm called the challenger out of any sales assessment test you do. And I'm nothing but aggressive in business as well. And I don't do FE shit at work, believe it or not. I just don't. And you wouldn't know because you're not there. Just like I wouldn't try and tell you how you work how you operate at work. Now, you can tell me why I'm wrong by splitting them up like that. That's the only, and I'm super open to being wrong, but that's my way of interpreting why I can't settle on one. Maybe I have a split personality. Maybe I'm wrong.
You're not crazy. That's fucking why you can't do both types without invalidating the whole fucking system. Because like the cornerstone is that there are 3 things, and everyone gets one in each center in ascending order. So you saying you're both types inside this model says fuck the model, but also I'm both inside the model. So no, you're not. You're either one type or you don't buy the model, but you don't get to buy parts of it.
Well, we've described you as being both a sensory and an intuitive in the past. You're nearly equal, both S and N.
Right, but I know, and tests repeatedly show that I am barely above on intuition. So I am an intuitor, even though I
think I'm barely maybe a 3 above an 8. But not enough to say
but I have no problem with that.
Enough to where it's splitting hairs, and it's ridiculous to say that. It's no more ridiculous to say that than like I'm basically both, which is what I said.
Okay, I don't care. You're both. You're neither. The models.
I don't care either. I just don't like. You can attack my.
Nick, is there any way for me to stop fucking talking to you without leaving the computer?
I don't know.
I don't mean to be an asshole, but god damn it, I've been trying to shut the fuck up on this for a minute. I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette. I'll be back in about 5.
Honestly, part of it was I am interested in your. I was really wanting a good counter argument to mine, and I didn't hear it, and that frustrated me. My bad.
You have it now.
I hadn't. I agreed to something so that I could.
Do you now have it? Because I am going to smoke a cigarette and I'm leaving this computer down here.
No, but that's okay.
Because the model says there are 3 centers and everybody uses something out of each center in an ascending order. And that's how you get a tri-type. So to say that you use 2 from 2 centers equally is a violation of very core cornerstone principles of the system. You can't say I'm using the system to have both, but I'm not fucking the system.
But if first of all, it's in no way scientific the way that people come up to it, nor is the system scientific. That's for sure. It's not taking a measure of. It's not saying really anything concrete, and it's not testable.
You're right.
You're not saying he's in 3 mode right now. Let's gauge how long he's in 3. Let's gauge how long he's in 8. Let's gauge how long he's in whatever. It's always up to preference, which is what you first said. So that to me is a non-argument, is a non-point. And the other point of it is
we're arguing about your self-assessment, something that we both think is imprecise.
You have a heart type?
You care more than me. I'm going to smoke a cigarette now, Nick. We can talk about it later when you're not pissing me off and I'm not in the way of you being both types or what the fuck ever you're talking about now.
Sorry, Ken.
I'm of the current opinion that people should not be sorry for fights.
Well, I don't like interrupting you in particular. Some people don't mind interrupting, but people like listening to you, and I like listening to you, and you like listening to you. So
I do like listening to me. Yeah, I would have spent the time doing what I normally do, which is rambling. Was it Tay? I was gonna say, yeah, I'm not so sure about the descriptions like that because I know like a self-preservation social 9, like that description. I think that's probably what I am, but as far as the description goes, it calls that like the least assertive. Like it wasn't even 9. Like I think it called it like the least assertive Enneagram type. It's fucking mine. Which I don't necessarily think I'm an assertive person, but I was like, I don't know about least. There's probably a few people I could think of that are less assertive than me. And I don't even got a whiff of 8 anywhere in my tri-type. I'm wanting somebody like casual to get on because I want a TI Dom to calmly explain things to me because
I can do that.
Oh dear.
You can do that.
I'll try. Hear you wheezing in the background.
I think we've already settled this. I thought we already settled this.
What, you're an INTP?
I think it seems to me that one of the most difficult things in life is figuring out who you are. And you figure out who you are based on your observation of your reaction to certain situations and your preferences and what you've gained from experiences and what you've learned. Is that, can we agree on that, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm having difficulty picturing it in my head, so I can't say yes or no.
So,
Pop, 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 pop.
let me think of an analogy.
Is that the wrong making the echo?
So it's really difficult to know if you like chocolate cake or vanilla cake if you haven't really had either.
Right.
You can't say, oh, I'm a chocolate cake fan. Or even, I like for me, if I were to say, I like Latino girls. Nick, how many Latino girls are there? None. Just, I think I would like a Latino girl. It's gonna be much different than if I'm with a Latino girl.
Right, because people have a mental concept of something, and then there's also the difference of reality.
That we're always surprised of once that difference of reality hits us. And that's one of the cool things about life. Is like, if we had it all figured out, especially from a young age, there wouldn't be much excitement in it.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, what really bothers me is when people don't do something because they're afraid they're not going to like it, and they end up liking it. Like my brother only used to eat chicken nuggets when he was younger. He just said he didn't like all types of foods. Then he went on this year-long missions trip, and he was eating crickets and shit. Now he eats everything. He likes all kinds of food. His palate is more diverse than mine, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
And you are one of the group favorites. And I'm not even convinced you're an introvert. I mean, one of the things that you consistently used to talk about was kind of like a lot of fear stuff out of anticipation of what it would be like rather than once doing it.
Right.
Like you were kind of nervous about drinking and stuff with me, yet you took care of me that night. It was so wildly different than I thought. I'm sure you would have anticipated it being.
Right.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Were you different in that situation than you anticipated you being?
Yeah, a certain amount. I think
Enough to where it's safe to say, I think that the cool thing about you, Ken, is that you got a cocoon to break out of.
beautiful butterfly. Yep,
You're 21, unless you got a birthday.
I did. 22.
22.
Like an old man.
You feel like an old man. I don't want you to feel. You have so much shit.
Yeah.
You're the greatest. You're the best. Whatever.
Yeah. Still working on the rich, but I'll take best and the greatest.
Could be if you wanted to and try it and stuff. Like showing up is like most of it. I don't know. You're a crowd favorite. You have fun things to say, and I had fun hanging out with you personally. And I think you just need to do shit.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to be around people outside of this place sometimes, which I'm sure you are. But people that are people you can relate to.
Right.
You ever thought about going to college?
I went for like half a semester.
Was it like semi-went?
Yeah, it was like I'd go, sort of avoid contact with people, and spend like 2 hours in the library.
Oh, man, I hate that. That bothers me. I'm sorry if I'm like being. I just hate you trying to figure out yourself in the means of Enneagram and stuff when, I think you repeatedly surprise yourself about yourself, and you're incredibly social in here, and you're good at it, and yet you don't really do it outside of here, from what you say. It sounds.
Yeah,
It just bothers me. I'm sorry if it feels like I'm like harping or something, but
yeah, I'd say that there's a way that I act, out and about when I'm, physically somewhere. However, I would say that kind of how I act on here, act that way around a couple of my coworkers a bit more.
and they fucking love you.
Yeah, they like it. They sort of reciprocate it as best they can. But
Best they can. They have a hard.
yeah,
They have a hard time. Yeah, you're a performer. That's why it's like, man, you get on my nerves sometimes. Not in like a way, but like a man way.
I'm glad you made the distinction.
So the others. I mean, I guess we could chalk it up to SE issues, right?
Something. Yeah. When I'm talking about the, I would agree that as far as the models go, I like using them, and this isn't really like an argument I'm making towards you. Like this is just a statement that I'm making in part of me talking. It's like you made the comment about like SE or whatnot, and it's like when I'm reading stuff about the model and whatnot, I like this sort of. It's kind of like a math aspect to it, to where it's like I can see that certain things there's some sort of order to them, or they fit in some certain way. But then, learning like socionics and stuff like that has actually helped me, because now I can notice when like I'm doing too much of something. Like I might not be able to pinpoint it down to like a particular function. Like I try to do that sometimes and it gets frustrating, but I can kind of tell when it's like I'm thinking too much on a problem.
Well, and honestly, I think you're going to figure it all out. So I'm not like thinking I'm giving you some shit you don't know or you wouldn't know. But and I think there's value in that, especially since you say there's value in it. But this is coming from a subjective stance on this. I personally hate the idea of boxing myself in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I see these models do a lot, because I see myself doing it. You know what I mean? Like, I say, I am definitely this. But it's not super true. I mean, none of these things define who. I've never heard, like, I've read, there's a fuck ton of this stuff, and I've never been like, oh my gosh, that's Ken. Yeah, if somebody described you personally, I'd be like, oh my gosh, that's Ken.
Uh-huh.
And we all say this, like, I relate with some of it, but some of it, Especially because when we read these things, we're relying on somebody else's interpretation of how to describe these very abstract and ambiguous things
Mm-hmm.
that we put into a model.
I mean, it's kind of why I adopt so many models. It's because I'm trying to see if there's overlap or whatnot, or like where one's missing something or whatnot.
That makes sense. And it's not that I do the same thing. But it is, in the back of my head, it's like, man, this is in no way, it's To me, it can be dangerous. And you feel like just answer this before. Like,
Right. Right. I think a lot of things could be dangerous. However, I would say that this is at least an area I find myself interested in, and I'd rather not ruin that interest by.
and I certainly don't want to do that.
Right.
Especially because, I mean, listen, I don't think, I'm not telling you to stop doing it or talking about it or anything, because who the fuck am I? I'm just saying I'm gonna bug you and nag you about it a minute, just so a friendly reminder.
Yeah.
Because you're probably gonna end up, with the big, if you're stupid, then I'd be like, ooh, man, then I'd be really worried. But you're not. Probably end up having, you've already been able to talk intelligently about it and educate people on it. You might, get to a place where you use it as a means to start small talk that ends up in a pretty fucking crazy place or something out and about in the world.
Right.
I'm just talking.
I see it as a means to understand that people are different, and I think, especially earlier in my life, and even now still, it's like I'll have it in my head that, like, based on what others say, there's like a way to do something, or like a way to be, and like this combats that, because I'm like, no, I mean, according to this model or that model, there's multiple ways a person can manifest, and this isn't just
Now
my own personal whim. This is like
that I can get behind.
Mhm.
That makes sense. I mean, not that I couldn't get behind any of the other stuff you were saying about it, but
Right. Some things resonate more than others. I get it.
you hit me in the F zone, guys, and you also tugged on my. I hate how people tell you how you ought to be based on their perception of. Most of the time, when people judge other people or give advice, it comes from their perception is based more on who they are than who you are. I think.
Right.
I took too much Adderall today. Yeah. I fucking hate that. It's 2 in the morning. It's 2 a.m. in the morning. I gotta get up early. I slept 3 hours today. I hadn't slept all night last night. So
gotta do a ENTP hibernation. Gotta get those in every now and again.
I do, and I don't remember the last one I did.
Like, I remember to hibernate because it's like impossible. Well, it's not impossible, but I rarely go for like 2 or 3 days on just 2 or 3 hours of sleep. I've done it before.
Again, look at my function scoring in that fucking cognitive test thing. My negative 3.3% SI, which I say that because it's ridiculous, and my SI is ridiculous. So I think it's really negative 3.3%. I don't even know how the fuck it is, but I know I'm the only one motherfucker in that whole any I saw that has a negative.
Yeah. Well, it's because you probably answered questions strongly, to whereas other people, myself included, are a bit more in the middle about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a lot of weak SI people. It's, I mean, sort of, you could relate that in some ways to like the instinctual stuff I was talking about today, like the self-preservation. It's like not having the strongest homeostasis, drives. But I think, Tay, you're asking or I think you were just making a statement. You said, why is it even useful? I sort of see Enneagram concepts as like, rather than the instinctual type being like subtypes of Enneagram, I see Enneagram as being like subtypes of instincts. Because it's like people have instincts or like an instinctual type or whatnot. And then sort of like their Enneagram numbers, like whichever one they align with or whatever, sort of changes how they manifest. It doesn't change their instinct, but like it changes the manifestation of it. So it's like the difference between a self-preservation 9 and a self-preservation 8. It's a pretty strong difference. Because it's like self-preservation 8s will have much more of like a conquering mindset or whatnot, whereas self-preservation 9s might be content with burying their head in the sand and just sticking to routines. Oh, hey. Oh, hey, it's Liz. What up? Yeah, that instinct stuff's pretty fun. Actually, Liz could probably tell you I'm a double sexual type, right, Liz? Yeah. 100%. Nah, 110%.
200%.
Yep, that's the right amount. 69%.
Sometimes I feel like I don't even qualify to be a type of any kind.
I think I'm a pretty cool Pokemon.
Yeah, you are for sure. I think
I feel like Nick was looking to see if something was coming. You hear coon?
answers. I was looking for answers.
Ah, okay. It's like, are they around that corner? No, that's just a possum. See, I don't think there's much stigma around. Oh, right, yeah. I thought you were saying there's a stigma around being sexual second, but yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It happens sexual dom or sexual second, yeah. That was sort of what I had issue with a bit, because it seemed like in some of the descriptions, I don't think it was so much like that being sexual last bothered me as much as it was that sexual last descriptions really negated forfix aspects. So it's like the forfix aspect like rebels against this description that's like, yeah, you're a bland motherfucker. But as far as the sexual stuff goes, yeah, I'm actually like, don't make much of an effort in that regard. It's like, am I going to try to look sexy today? No, I'm going to wear a black baggy t-shirt and some shorts because that's what's comfortable. It's like I put a lot more weight on trying to attract somebody by like how much I'd be able to provide security or like be emotionally available more so than Like whether or not I'm oozing with the sexiness. That's what I notice around here. Like a lot of people type is social last. And I was like, I don't know if they're just mistyping themselves chronically, which may be it, or if there's just fewer social types around. I think there's some that are social last. I'm not sold that Audra is a self-pres sexual. I think Audra's probably self-pres social. Oh, wow, that's very loud. I apologize. Taylor, I think, is social last. Nope. Definitely not. Social? What the fuck? I don't think I've met a social 8, so I don't know if I can. So you think they're both social self-pres? Yeah. I just sort of figured that Taylor's collection of assets, kind of like Audra, was more of a 8 self-pres rather than social. Nah. You mind to expand on that more, Gandhi? Fucking Liz comes in here. Most of her TI arguments are just nah, nope, definitely not. Somebody fart? Sounded like he farted. You think it's just sexual talk? Because even I'll engage in that. Hell, do you not know the fucking lore around my dick? I'm super awkward. Well, yeah, maybe. Actually, not even maybe. I'd agree. There are ways I'm awkward about it. Yeah, no, I do get that. I understand that. It is more of a joke thing. Yeah, I do notice it for myself. Like people talk about something that's like legitimately sexual, or like they'll talk about vibes is someone's giving off like a feeling that they have in their body, and if it's like overtly sexual, then I'll either get sort of squirmy or I'll get like repulsed. Like, wow, you have to make it that crass. And I don't like, I literally do not mean to be prudish. In fact, a lot of times when people are being prudish, I don't appreciate it because I think sex shouldn't be seen as like, something bad. But it's like, I think I agree with you. The sexual lust aspect makes me just sort of like, yeah, I never tried to redefine it as one-to-one. Once I actually learned about it, I was like, oh, no, you actually got to try to put your penis in something. That's the thing. People are like, I think I'm sort of like sexual because I'm like penetrating. And I'm like, but are you actually penetrating? Like, do you penetrate things? That was a bit more sensual than I was prepared for.
A bit more what?
Sensual than I was prepared
Sensual.
for. Yeah, it was like ASMR. Yeah, that was...
Sensual. Well, it
Yeah.
depends on the person listening because you hear what you want to hear.
Yeah. It was, clearly.
Hey guys.
Yep, no. Still did the same for me.
What is it doing?
I think... honestly, not quite, but after listening to, John Lunkovich, that dude from Ineatude.
So it stopped going inwards.
Never around you, Susanna. Never. It does not go inwards.
No, but I don't have the SE to make that happen.
What, make it go inwards? What?
Yeah, to make you terrified.
Make it terrified? SE doesn't make my dick terrified. People who incorrectly use SE, they can make my dick limp, but never inverted. But, what was it? Just to clarify. Just to clarify what day? Oh, are you saying me? Oh, okay. Okay. Fuck, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I was gonna make a comment because in his video series he did on Vimeo, I'm talking to you, Liz. He's talking about like sexual energy and like how he, like in his body, if he could locate it somewhere, he felt like it was sort of like somewhere underneath his heart and going down to his genitals, and it like undulated in between there. I don't know if you get any sort of vibe like that, or if your self-pres is so fucking weak that you're just like, what? Yeah.
What? Oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
He's talking about like what he would consider sexual energy. He is a sexual self-pres type, this dude I'm talking about, and he was talking about in terms of sexual energy. Felt like it sort of bounced back and forth. Like if he could locate it in his body, he'd say it like bounced back and forth, like between his heart and his genitals. Is sort of what he labeled it as. And I think it was Liz made the making his dick hard comment, and I was actually somewhat surprised because I was like, no, I didn't quite feel it there. It was like around there, but it was more like in the area that John was talking about. I was like, that was interesting. It was like my little bit of sexual energy trickle just barely gets activated. So thanks, Susanna.
I'm here to teach you shit.
Well, yeah. Oh, speaking of which, you're a TI Dom.
Yes?
I need a TI Dom to calmly explain to me why I may or may not be an ENFJ rather than INFJ. Liz, shut the fuck up. I'm saying that ahead of time. Preemptive.
NI?
Oh dear. Yeah, I might wait for casual to come on and explain it.
Thanks for that one.
You,
Fuck
you
you
know,
too.
you know what, Liz? Sometimes when it comes to this TI stuff, like especially like when it comes to the the socionics, it's like it's so much for me to keep in my head that it's like I like to just offload questions onto TI DOMs so that they can explain things to me.
You are not FE Dom.
I am not an FE DOM.
You are not. You don't care enough.
I don't care enough.
Yes. Well, that's how
What
it
would
comes
what
up.
would okay? What do you think caring would look like if there's any concise way to explain that?
Like Liz.
Liz, dude, I don't care enough.
Liz had problems when I told her she was TE.
Does it seem like I'm more open to its inconsistency?
You want me to be consistent? I can be inconsistent. Sometimes.
Is that
Well,
TISE consistency?
Get
Well,
out
yeah,
of
probably.
ISTP. I'm not ISTP. Why do you think you're ENFJ?
Well, it was more so just questions. It wasn't so much me thinking that it's like, oh, I'm a different type now, or I mean, not like I'm a different type now, but like, oh, I misjudged my type. Rather than necessarily thinking about that, I was just trying to think of descriptions about like demonstrative versus ignoring, like in terms of the functions and whatnot. And I don't know. I guess I don't see
You have
extroverted.
You have a fucking T-shirt covering your window.
So, what's that got to do with anything? And actually, I don't. I took the T-shirts down and I replaced it with cardboard. Just for your information.
That's bad TE.
That's bad TE? How's that? I thought TE was just coming out with like plans and shit.
Yeah, and you thought, oh, never mind.
I have it covering my window so that light doesn't come in because it's of the devil.
Why do you not just have curtains?
Because that would fucking take money and effort.
I'm planning. For taking a random cardboard. That's random.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, it was the cardboard I had in my room, and I held it up to my window, and I was like, "Oh my god, it fits."
Yeah, that's like random bursting TE, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it just felt a bit more like Essie. I'm just
okay.
like, I'm a do. I mean, honestly, it was just more TE.
You don't even acknowledge the plan.
I mean, yeah, there's a plan aspect. I feel like I do it at work more. Like I try to plan out how I'm going to do something.
Yeah.
Like I'll be like, am I going to start with this part of the job first? Or it's like if I see somebody, and I don't know what this would relate to functionally, but it's like if I see a coworker moving to a certain area and I'll need to be there, then it's like, I'll notice that rather than trying to develop a plan that it's like, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and then this, and this, I'll just sort of do stuff, drift off into my own world, and then if somebody looks like they're in my way, then I'll just go to a different part of the building and do that job. But I feel more frustrated when if I feel like I'm following a plan rather than just adapting in the moment of what's going on, I get frustrated. But